moved the Bank of Canada rate announcement to 9:45 a.m. this morning. So we'll have that coming to you live very shortly as we take a look here. Also, I have my trusty sidekick interest rate with me this morning. She's going to help me predict the interest rate as she has the last few times. So as you guys remember, I'll just grab interest rate here. All right, little girl, come here. Come here. So here she is, guys. She's just hanging out on my desk. This is my little guinea pig. Her name is Interest Rate. Say hello. She has correctly predicted the interest rate in 2023. I believe it was 6 out of 7 times. She messed up one time, didn't you? That's right. So she seems a little confident today. She's already started munching on the hay, the little bits of hay, but I have lettuce and I have hay here for you today. So what I'll do is if she eats nothing, rates are going down. What do you think? If you eat lettuce, rates are staying the same. And if you eat hay, rates are going up. How's that? I know you've already been munching the hay, so that's quite a bet there. All right, so that's my guinea pig interest rate. She's hanging out there. And what we're going to do here, everyone, is we're going to cover some topics here before they come out with the interest rate announcement. Okay, I'm just going live on TikTok now. All right, hey everyone, it's another rate announcement today. There's going to be a live rate announcement happening with the Bank of Canada at 9:45 a.m. I'm actually pretty excited about this rate announcement today. We might see some changes with some of the monetary policy that's coming out this morning as well. I know the Bank of Canada is going to be releasing a lot of monetary policy today with their report coming out with the rate announcement. It's coming out at 9:45 a.m. So we have some things to cover here before the rate is announced. I'm going to cover some leading up articles here. So as you guys probably have already heard, inflation had gone up, and that information came out about a week ago now. And we saw inflation in Canada actually increase last month, which was a surprise because the month prior and the month prior to that, we did see inflation going lower. So, for example, in September, we saw 3.8 down from 4 in August. We saw 3.1 in October. So do you guys think with the inflation now going up to 3.4% again in December will be cause for concern? Will we have an interest rate announcement that increases the interest rates this morning? Be interesting to see how that all goes. We're going to have an announcement here in about 6 minutes. So the inflation has been a concern here with interest rates because, as we all know, the Bank of Canada has been raising interest rates due to high inflation. So with inflation numbers going up, will we have an increase in rates? We're going to find out here in about 5 minutes. And if you're just joining me here today, I want to take a look and show you my guinea pig. Her name is Interest Rate. Say hello if you're just joining me here. She is going to munch on some lettuce or hay or nothing to determine whether or not the interest rate will go up, stay the same, or go down. So what's some of the articles that I've been saying, been chatting about the interest rate announcement today? Well, we have had some articles say that they believe that Bank of Canada will stay the course this month. And that's predominantly the articles that I'm seeing this morning is, in fact, that a lot of news outlets are predicting a interest rate pause because the inflation, as much as it's going up the last month, it's not overall trending up. It's still trending down overall because we have seen a reduction in inflation over the last year quite considerably. So another thing I like to ask is, what's the bond yield up to, right? The bond yield, you might ask, why do I need to know about the bond yield? Well, as a mortgage broker, I follow the 5-year bond yield, specifically the 5-year, almost every day of my career. It's like the most number one metric here that I follow as a mortgage broker. And why is that? Well, when people ask me where fixed rates are headed, I can actually give them some idea based on the bond yield. Bank of Canada, totally different story. And that does definitely impact variable rates, which is the Bank of Canada. As we know, prime rate right now is sitting at 7.2%. That's the highest prime rate we've seen in years. I think it's 19 years last time I checked. But the bond yield is sitting at a rate of 3.478%. So what does that mean? What does that mean, Joe, with the bond yield sitting at 3.478%? Well, I'll give you an idea here. The bond yield was a little higher, 3.561%, just a little earlier this month. But that is an overall reduction now from a high point of 4.415. So that is actually quite a significant decrease since October of 2023. And with that significant decrease of approximately almost 0.75 basis points there, 75 basis points, we've seen actually fixed rates come down quite considerably. And because fixed rates have come down, we've actually seen people that have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for things to change. They were able to actually get into a home and afford a little bit more because interest rates did come down about 0.5% or 0.75%. So that is huge news with the fact that fixed rates have been coming down. So fixed rates coming down does indicate that the bond yield has been coming down, and the bond yield's influenced by the overall free market, I like to believe. And with that, we've seen the market sort of pointing that we see inflation coming down. We believe that the rates will come down very soon. But I don't think that the Bank of Canada is going to reduce rates soon. What do you guys think? Put in the comments below. When do you think the Bank of Canada is going to reduce interest rates? I know that I have my opinion. It's not anytime soon, not this month, not next rate announcement. I think at the very earliest, we'll see late summer, we'll see a decrease in rates. And that's the very, very earliest. And the reason why I say that is as I'm trending this inflation line down, we're at 3.4% today. We need to get to 2%. And to get to 2% or under, we'll see that probably most likely in late summer. So just waiting here for the Bank of Canada rate announcement. We're going to have that here in just a few moments, 2 minutes. It's 9:43 a.m. right now. The Bank of Canada rate announcement does come out at 9:45 a.m. today. So huge news there. We have interest rate. You want to see what you're going to pick here? So we have interest rate here. She's my guinea pig, as you guys can see. She's now going to predict whether the interest rates are going to go up or down. So here is some lettuce. If you eat the lettuce, if you eat the hay, rates are going up. Eat the lettuce, rates are staying the same. And if you eat nothing, rates are going down. What are you going to eat here? So as you see, I've given her 2 takeout containers, 1 full of lettuce, 1 full of hay. She loves this stuff. Let's see which one she goes for. All right. And she's going for the lettuce. So lettuce's rates stay the same. She's predicting that rates are staying the same. If she gets this one correct, everyone, she's going to hit 7 out of 8 rate announcements that have been correct. So we're going to have the data here in just a few moments. The Bank of Canada is releasing that at 9:45 a.m. And here we are, the answer we've been looking for, everyone. Bank of Canada, here we are. They've released this announcement. Here we go. So the Bank of Canada does maintain the policy rate, continuing quantitative tightening. So what does that mean? They are keeping rates the same. There's no change this month, no change today on January 24th, 2024. Huge news for real estate agents and mortgage brokers abroad, because what does that mean? It means that we can continue with our plans the way we thought about them for our clients. We always put together plans for our clients in terms of how we should go ahead with a home purchase, a mortgage, and the client's ability to pay down that mortgage in the best way possible. So rates are staying the same. And let's dive into some of this monetary policy report right now, live here on Canadian Mortgage Weekly, the Bank of Canada show. And I'll just take a look here at this monetary policy. what are they hinting at? What is the Bank of Canada hinting at for the next few weeks here as we get ready for the next rate announcement? And as a matter of fact, when do you guys think is the next Bank of Canada rate announcement? January 24th is the first one for 2024. The next one, let's see here, will be on March the 6th. All right, so March the 6th, we have about a month and a bit before the next rate announcement. But getting right into this monetary policy report, the Bank of Canada does mention that the global economic growth is continuing to slow now. So huge news there with their comments about global growth and how it's slowing down. They are also mentioning that inflation is easing gradually across most economies. And what does that mean? Also means that they're seeing lower inflation pressures all across the world. All right. So while growth in the United States has been stronger than expected, they are making that comment here. And I have seen that specifically in the United States inflation. If we take a look at the United States inflation rate, much, much higher than Canada right now. We are looking at it has gone down to 3% in 2023, back up and then back down. And then again, it's heading back up. So United States has had stronger growth than Canada, which puts us in an odd position because we usually copy the States in a lot of different ways. But they're saying that it's anticipated to slow in 2024. So that's some news there. Weaker consumer spending, oil prices, GDP of 2.5% in 2024, 2.75% in 2025. That they're mentioning is going to be slower than 2023, which was 3% overall for the year. And they are also mentioning that Canada's economy has stalled since the middle of 2023. Well, I wonder why. I mean, the Bank of Canada hasn't really been raising rates since about that time at this point. And, because rates are already so high, I'm seeing a lot of homeowners now come up to renewal or wanting to buy a home, and they just can't fathom what the payments are on their mortgage, whether they're renewing or buying a home for the first time. The payments are just crazy high. Crazy high. I mean, you look at an average price home in Canada. We're looking at the average price home in Canada. And what do you think the payment would be for a first-time home buyer just to buy the average price home in Canada? Well, if we take a look at today's best interest rate and the average price home, buying with a minimum down payment, you're looking at about $4,000 a month for an average price home in Canada for the first-time home buyer at the best interest rate. How does that make sense compared to renting? I know a lot of my colleagues, friends, first-time home buyers, for example, that are coming to get a mortgage with me. They want to get into a home, but they're paying $1,500, $2,000 a month on their rent. So is it really better for them to buy a home in this market and leave the $2,000 and change it for $4,000? The $2,000 they are throwing away in a sense because it's not going towards any equity. But then again, the $4,000, a lot of that's being thrown away at the beginning of the mortgage because a lot of that's going to interest. I mean, you are getting some of the $4,000 back, but you're still spending $4,000 versus $2,000. Almost seems like renting is better if you have a rent price from a few years ago or beyond, because in that case, way more sense to stay renting. And as a mortgage broker, why am I saying that? Well, it's just the way it is. I mean, if you're looking at getting a place because you're need to upsize and you get a different place, you really don't have any other option. I mean, if you have a baby coming, or twins coming, you might need a lot more space. And if you need a lot more space, you're going to have to either rent a different place or buy a place. And in that case, if you're making that change, new rent prices are completely higher and new mortgage prices are completely higher. So when you're comparing those two together, it makes sense to buy still. So there's that there as well. What else is the Bank of Canada saying in their monetary policy other than all that I've covered already? All right, consumers pulled back spending in response to higher prices. New jobs being created at a slower rate than population growth. Now, that is an interesting comment here. You know, the fact that new jobs are being created slower than population growth. I'm also wanting to bring up the unemployment numbers in Canada as well. I'll bring them up here because they have been going up, unemployment in Canada. So that's something that people are going to be concerned about if it gets any higher, because unemployment has been going up in Canada since April of 2023. Very slightly, though, we've gone from an unemployment rate of 5% to an unemployment rate at 5.8%. So all these new people coming to Canada, they may be unemployed and they may not be able to find a job because we are creating jobs slower than our population growth. Okay, so what else are they saying about economic growth? Expected to strengthen in the middle of 2024. The second half of 2024, household spending will likely pick up. Business investments should get a boost from foreign demand. And overall, the GDP growth of 0.8 in 24 and 2.4 in 25, roughly. Well, why are they saying that economic growth will be boosted in the middle of 2024? Do they know something that I don't know? Are they planning? Like, why does economic growth go up? Well, it's either going to be something, there's going to be some catalyst. It's not going to be random. And that catalyst, from what I'm estimating and from what a lot of my colleagues are estimating, rates may have their first reduction in the middle of 2024. And that will coincide with the Bank of Canada predicting here in their monetary policy forecast that we should have a boost in 2024 in the middle. Now, there's been many times the Bank of Canada has made errors, but not as many errors as my guinea pig here. She's been awesome. She's eating this lettuce like it's nobody's business. Before we announced the rate announcement, which, as if you're just joining us today, the rates did not change. We have the Bank of Canada maintaining the policy rate today. Prime rate stays at 7.2%. But my guinea pig correctly predicted again the interest rates. She was looking at the hay. She was munching a little bit of hay before I gave her both plates. But she has gone through about half the plate of lettuce already. As you guys can see, half of it's already gone. And then the hay, virtually untouched. So let's see. See if we can get her say hi. There we go. Say hi, everyone. So her name is Interest Rate, and she correctly predicted the interest rates today. Good job. And what else is the Bank of Canada saying in their monetary policy report? CPI ended the year at 3.4%. Okay. And the Bank of Canada is predicting that it's returning the 2% target in 2025. Interesting. So Bank of Canada also saying that we will not see a inflation update to 2% until 2025. So also a really good, interesting tidbit of information. And would like to hear, what do you guys think? Do you think March the 6th we will have... March the 8th is our next announcement. And it will happen at 9:45 a.m. on March the 8th, Wednesday. What we'll do is we'll tune in at 9:30 till 10 to cover off the entire rate announcement in full. Again, we'll have Interest Rate here with us joining to predict the interest rates again. But what do you guys think? Do you think rates will go up on March the 8th? Do you think that rates will go down on March the 8th, or do you think rates will stay the same? I have heard some of my colleagues say March the 8th will have a rate reduction. I do not believe that's the case. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think that rates will not, well, the rates will go down in March? Because I'm predicting they won't. I'm predicting that rates will stay the same in March. We have not really seen any indication on why rates should go down. I mean, the Bank of Canada has said that we're going to continue the way we are until middle of 2024 before we see any boost whatsoever. So, yeah, comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. But very interesting comments today out of the Bank of Canada as they maintain their policy rate. Prime rate staying at 7.2% today. And just, I want to know also, is everyone out there that's getting a mortgage today, are you taking a fixed rate mortgage or are you taking a variable rate mortgage? I have a few of my clients that have recently switched and want now to take variable rate mortgages. And I'll tell you why. The reason why these clients of mine want to take variable rate mortgages now, and we always have that discussion, is it a right risk to take? Because rates, if they do come down, you will see that immediate benefit on your payment. If your payment's $4,000 today for an average price home and rates do come down, your payment could go down to $3,900 and then $3,800. So that's a great benefit of having a variable rate payment as rates are coming down. Now, we also have some of my clients that say, you know what, Joe, they may come down in 24, they may not. We don't want to take that risk. We want to lock it in for 3 or 4 years. And that's also been a very popular mortgage. The 4-year mortgage is very popular. People think actually that rates are high, inflation is high, and it's not really going anywhere for the time being. And that we should expect that rates are going to stay high for the next 3 to 4 years. And then taking a 4-year mortgage could put them in a situation where rates come back down in the next 3 or 4 years. And by the time they're renewing at the 4-year point, that they're getting into that lower rate mortgage at that time. Yeah. So interested to see what all my viewers are doing. If you want to pop it in the comments below or send me a message privately, would love to know what your thoughts are on that. All right. So as we're finishing up today, the interest rate announcement of 2024, if you're just tuning in today, rates did stay the same. We did not see a change in the prime rate. 7.2% remains the prime rate for Canada. We do not have a rate increase. We do not have a rate decrease. No increase, no decrease. So what does that mean? Let's go through some of the changes that you should expect to see on your mortgages, lines of credit, credit cards, and car loans. Well, because rates did not change for any mortgages with a flexible payment that flexes with the interest rate, you will see no change at all to your payments. You will see no communication from your lenders because there's no information or updates to be had. In addition to that, if you have a line of credit and you're paying X amount of dollars per month on the minimum payment, you will not see an increase on your interest portion or the minimum payment on your line of credit. No changes there. So we can expect that there will be status quo going forward for anyone today with a line of credit, whether that line of credit is unsecured or secured. Both types of line of credit tend to be based off the prime rate of Canada. And the prime rate of Canada today, 7.2% prior to the Bank of Canada live rate announcement, and 7.2% today after the announcement. No change today whatsoever. All right, and anyone with a variable rate car loan or a variable rate credit card, also no changes there. Should not expect any interest adjustments, changes, or anything there if you have a variable rate based credit card product or variable rate based car loan product. Now, for car loans, typically how it works for them is either the length of the term of the car loan would change if the variable rate would go up or down. All right, so if you're just joining me today, we had my guinea pig interest rate on a little earlier. Right now, she's busy munching lettuce, but she was on a little bit earlier predicting the interest rate. She correctly predicted that rates would stay the same. Bank of Canada does not change rates today. Rates have stayed the same. If there's any questions here across my Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook accounts, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll try to answer them right now as we get to the end of the show today. But no changes today. Bank of Canada did not change interest rates. We have the Bank of Canada keeping rates at 7.2%. No changes expected now on any mortgage products, line of credits, home equity lines of credit, variable rate products, whether they are car loans or credit cards. So what does that mean going forward? Well, they did come out with the monetary policy report. So if you're just joining me here now, I did summarize it a little earlier, but the summary today is that the Bank of Canada is acknowledging that the economy in Canada has stalled, that there's less jobs being created compared to the amount of new population growth we are experiencing as a country, which does match the higher unemployment numbers that we have been seeing since April of 2023. And also that Bank of Canada doesn't expect inflation to cool down to 2% until 2025. Bank of Canada also stating that because oil is priced lower and that economic growth across the whole globe has slowed slightly, that we should see this continue on until mid-2024. And then Bank of Canada also saying that it won't happen until middle of 2024, where economic growth is expected to strengthen gradually. So for the time being, whatever we're experiencing, we should expect to experience it until middle of 2024. Really no changes until then. But as we all know, the Bank of Canada has been incorrect before. I mean, I remember a certain person at the Bank of Canada mentioning that interest rates will stay low for a long time. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but I certainly do. And that wasn't too long ago. And it also had the same team there that is there right now making those predictions. So let's see if there's any questions here. I'll just go through. Okay. So will this affect how much I can qualify for is one of the questions here. Okay. And that is no change to how you will qualify for a mortgage. Now, if you're taking a fixed rate mortgage rate product, then I could see rates coming down at that point. And at that point, you could see a change in the qualifying rate that determines your affordability. So no change in how much you will qualify for a mortgage today. But as we have seen, the bond yield has been lowering fixed rates slightly. So we may see some additional qualifying benefits to anyone who's taking a fixed rate. As a matter of fact, fixed rates today are lower than variable rates. And that is an interesting conundrum because fixed rates tend to be higher than variable rates. Usually the bank rewards you for taking the variable because it's a riskier product. But in this case, with variable rates being higher than fixed rates, it's really giving a lot of people the urgency to lock in for any product that they are currently in right now. All right, so I see a few viewers are also saying that they believe that there will be a July interest rate reduction. I'm on board with that. That's about middle of 2024 as well. And that matches what the Bank of Canada said about the economy picking back up in middle of 2024. So that is an interesting, tie together. So interesting stuff there. Do I need to contact my lender? No, you do not need to contact your lender because there's no change today in your variable rate. there will be no reason for the lender to contact you, and also no reason for you to reach out to your lender. Okay. Yes, so I believe that the rates will not come down on the next rate announcement. We have a question coming in saying do I think rates are going up on the next meeting? So the next Bank of Canada meeting, just to give you guys an update there, will be March the 8th of 2024. That's not next month, but the month following. We'll be broadcasting live here from Canadian Mortgage Weekly, Canada's only weekly video mortgage news podcast. And we will live stream the rate announcement for you then. But if you're just joining us today, there's no change today. There's been no change to the rates as of the Bank of Canada coming out with that rate announcement today at 9:45 a.m., which means no changes to your mortgages, no changes to your lines of credit. If you feel like you need to speak to someone that has some knowledge that can guide you with your variable rate mortgage today, if you feel like these payments are getting out of hand, then feel free always to reach out to myself. I have 14 years experience being a broker here in Ontario, Canada, where I am based out of, and can help you across the province with your mortgage, help you with perhaps managing your payments and getting into a different kind of mortgage that has a lower payment for you. So this is Joe Bladek. Thanks for joining me today on Canadian Mortgage Weekly, the Bank of Canada show, for today's rate announcement. We'll see you next time. Thanks for all your questions and appreciate all the viewership.